Hi, this is the GBS number 2 rehabilitation video. You can also follow me on Facebook at chronicpaininaustin.com. Again, this is a GBS rehabilitation video. That stands for Guillain-Barre Syndrome. We'll refer to it as GBS for this video. Hi, I'm Shannon Green, and I'm a survivor going on 3.5 years since I got Guillain-Barre in March of 2014. So I wanted to explain a little bit about the rehabilitation process for GBS. The doctors in the hospital do not do a good job of explaining what your outlook and your next steps are going to be. I found that really frustrating. And also, if they did convey to you what they expected your recovery time to be, and if you don't meet that, it was very frustrating. My doctors kind of acted like in a couple weeks I'd be back to myself and I could go to work in 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital, which I did, and I was miserable and ended up having to quit 2 weeks later. And I haven't worked since 2014. So the process, after 3.5 years, I'm just now feeling like a normal person again and walking without any assistance. No cane, no walker, no wheelchair. I was back and forth between those 3 assisted devices in the last year. So just now in the last 2 weeks, I have been walking unassisted. I still kind of walk with a limp, and I walk slowly. So it's by no means how I was before, but I kind of think this might be as good as it gets for a while. I did take notes, so if I look down, I apologize. I wanted to make sure I cover all the highlights and questions I've been given. Physical therapy is crucial, and the kind of physical therapy, the quality of the people that give it to you, and then most importantly, doing the exercises faithfully every day that they tell you to do them. I was kind of lax the first year in doing my exercises, and I paid for it. Your muscle atrophy can happen within 2 weeks. You can lose a lot of your muscle tone. So I was in bed a lot that first year, so my muscle tone was terrible. And continuing to lay around just made it worse and worse. So it's very painful to do physical therapy, I'm not going to lie, but if you don't do it, you will never be walking the way that you want to, or get back to your old self. So again, the muscle atrophy happens within 2 weeks, so I never knew that, and so I figured that out the hard way. So I can't stress how important it is to do the physical therapy, even though you're tired, it's painful, you don't feel well. It's absolutely crucial. Most times for the physical therapy, you get it in the hospital, and then they can transfer you. Many people with GBS leave the hospital and go to a rehabilitation or a nursing home, assisted living facility, and then there they continue your physical therapy. And then from there, they can transfer you to an outpatient physical therapy. That's what I had done. I had done some inpatient in the hospital, and then after that, I did outpatient. So I've done outpatient off and on for 3.5 years. I found that each provider or rehab center that I went to had completely different exercises and a completely different program. So it was really frustrating that I was like, well, whose exercises are right? What I ended up finding was a doctor of physical therapy, a DPT, and she had a whole plan for my entire body, not just my foot or my hand. She was able to look at my whole body, look how I walked, look how I could bend, how I sit, my posture, and reworked everything like we were starting from childhood and learning to walk. So she had really the best approach. So again, if you can research the physical therapy facility and try to find someone who's got a master's or doctorate degree and that can work with you each time you go in instead of feeling like my process the first year, I would just get technicians that maybe only had 1 or 2 years experience. And I would get a different technician each time I had therapy, and I'd have to start my story completely over. So it wasn't consistent treatment. Now, I know not all insurance plans cover certain facilities or certain doctors, so that's something you have to check into. I did pay a little extra for a doctor of physical therapy because she was considered out of network. So I only, so insurance only pays part of the reimbursement on an out of network doctor. But she was worth it. I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't hire the DPT. So let's talk a little bit real quick about OT, occupational therapy. You also get that in inpatient. And they did things for me like I had a lot of trouble with my hand coordination. They would have you practice buttoning things. There was a spider web mesh thing they would do, and you would kind of pull your hands apart like that in the spider web mesh. And you can get those off of Amazon, all of these things. Just be sure to ask the technician, hey, where could I get that? What's it called? And then you can order it yourself on Amazon. So anyway, I did occupational therapy in the hospital. My case was mild, so I didn't have to do additional occupational therapy once I got out of the hospital. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the medications that are used to help with pain. The first one that is usually given is called Neurontin. It is also called gabapentin. Again, that's Neurontin and gabapentin, and all of these will be in the comments section of this video. They are both anticonvulsants given for pain and given for neuropathy pain. They typically start you out at a low dose, and then you work your way up. What I've noticed the most with these type of anticonvulsant neuropathic drugs is they work best if given multiple times a day, like at least 3 or 4 times a day, as opposed to just taking it once a day. The other prescribed medication is Lyrica, which is also called pregabalin, and I refer to it as Lyrica. In the U.S., most people refer to it as Lyrica. So Lyrica, I started out like 75 milligrams a day, once a day, or I think it was twice a day. And then now, after 3.5 years, I've worked my way up to 600 milligrams given 3 times a day. So 600 milligrams is the max that you could take for the Lyrica pregabalin drug. That's what they suggest is the max. And as you know, I titrated up slowly, over like a 2.5, 3 year period. So I wish I had done the higher dosage earlier, but you do have to titrate up slowly, and done the three times a day back in the first year after the GBS. The thing about the Lyrica or the Neurontin gabapentin, if you have neuropathy from the Guillain-Barre, you're most likely going to have it for the rest of your life. It's the severity of how bad it's going to be that is, each case is going to be different. Each person is going to be different. But I've seen 5 or 6 neurologists because I wanted to get a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th opinion. They all say that I need to take Lyrica every day for the rest of my life. That's all they got for me to deal with pain. Traditional opioid pain meds like OxyContin, all of those, they typically do not help with nerve pain. I have tried those in the past and didn't feel they were safe for me to take long term or really that effective. For neuropathic pain, anticonvulsants, which Neurontin and Lyrica are very effective in dealing with neuropathic pain. The other drug I want to mention real quick is Topamax. Topamax is also an anticonvulsant. It helped me tremendously with pain, but the side effects, I couldn't handle the side effects, so I had to get off of it. The side effects are severe brain fog and just severe fatigue. I just could not function on Topamax, but it did help a lot with pain. So you have to try different anticonvulsants and see kind of what works best with your body. I already had neuropathy from diabetes before I got Guillain-Barre. So I already had neuropathy in my feet, and then with the GBS on top of it, my neuropathy is so severe that I cannot feel my feet, which is attributed to a lot of falls because I don't know where my foot placement is. So I have fallen numerous times in the 3.5 years. And that's also why the physical therapy has taken off and on 3.5 years, because I have had a lot of falls. So the process is, one step forward, two steps back. So I just want to give a realistic picture of what one might expect. In no way do I mean to, discourage people or, scare them. I just want them to know it's a long process, lots of patience, lots of prayers, lots of understanding family and friends, and most of all, do the physical therapy several times a day. Even if you're in bed, there's several exercises you can Google. You can do exercises in your bed, in your chair, and then work your way up to being able to stand. But the important part is you're getting your muscles to move, regardless of whether you're in a chair, in a bed, or standing. Let me check my last note. Muscle relaxers. They help a little bit, but there are side effects. For me, they do make you very drowsy. I tried every muscle relaxer there was and finally settled on one that's been around 20, 30 years called Flexeril. It's also called cyclobenzaprine. I will put all of these in the comments because, again, they're hard to spell. So I do take the cyclobenzaprine 3 times a day, 5 milligrams. So basically my regimen to deal with pain on a daily basis is the cyclobenzaprine muscle relaxer, the Lyrica anticonvulsant, and then Tylenol 500 milligram 3 or 4 times a day. And I want to get to the point where I'm not taking that much Tylenol because that's not good long term on your liver. I'm not at that point yet, but each week I get a little less where I don't always have to rely on the Tylenol. The other last thing I will say before I close is ice packs. Each doctor or physical therapist will have different opinions on ice and heat. I've heard it's best to alternate between the two. For me, ice was more effective, so I have 10 ice packs that I rotate out all day, all evening long, and I leave them on for 15-20 minutes at a time, but get some really good, high-quality ice packs that can really, really help. So, find out what works for you. Maybe heat packs work better for you. The one thing where heat did work the best for me was hot baths with Epsom salt. That seemed to be in soaking for 15 or 20 minutes in the hottest bath water you could possibly tolerate. So those are just some of the life hacks and suggestions that I tried. In my video 3, GBS number 3, I'll go into more detail of holistic approaches that I've used. So please subscribe my channel so I can continue to make more videos. I'm also on Facebook at chronicpaininaustin.com. Again, all of this will be in the comments section. So thank you for watching.